For the small and medium scale sector, for the nano industries, grants are being pushed out under a program with the Bank of Industry. 50,000 naira is being given to 1 million nano industries all across the 774 local governments of the country. And as usual, the standard that will earn public trust is the one that is being applied. You have to have your name, you have to have a mobile, or you have to have a digital procedure for payment. And that is helping those. The larger industries are getting funding at relatively cheap rates, 9%. For 1 million naira maximum for the smaller industries. For the bigger ones, up to 1 billion naira can be applied for. And then finally, in terms of this intervention and support, we do have fresh on Mr. President's table today an economic emergency plan for stabilizing the economy and implementing over the next 6 months. And it has been put together by the President's economic team, by the private sector representatives, by the subnationals, the state governments. We have all sat together in recent weeks, and we have a package on Mr. President's desk this afternoon for his approval. And why it is only this afternoon? Because it was this morning that we got the final clearance from the state governor, who had said he wanted to have a final chance to review and input. With that clearance, we're now good to go in terms of a major economic plan for Mr. President to approve. May I now turn to the core mandate of the ministry, financing. We met a situation where the government did not have enough money. The government was not unable to pay its way. Through implementing technological change and procedures, which requires not just the skill of not just the skill of the workforce, but also the political will. We are now in a situation where the revenue of the Federal Republic Nigeria has been totally revamped, rejuvenated, and increased substantially. What that means is that the government can now pay its way. The government is paying its debt service without resort to ways and means, particularly international debt service. The obligations domestically are being paid. That process that has been put in place is one that we are mandated, not just by Mr. President, but even the National Assembly in passing the 2024 budget, insisted that Nigeria's money that was in the hands of parastatals, agencies, other enterprises needed to be brought in and husbanded properly. That has been done, and it has put the government not in as comfortable a situation as we would like to be, but one where we pay our way domestically, internationally. There's a whole host of outstanding payments that we made. We owe the Islamic Development Bank $200 million in shareholding. This is not in terms of loans, in terms of shareholding, our own subscriptions, things that do not allow confidence to be built and do not allow Nigerians to have that pride of place when they sit at the table and they are owing money. All those are a thing of the past. They have all been paid down. Let me turn now to the expenditure side. You prepare the finances not only by the revenue, but also you gain public trust by making sure that Nigerians' money is spent wisely, well, and accountably. We have implemented a system of payment whereby payments made by government are going to be made. Capital expenditure under the 2024 budget will be made directly to beneficiaries. No intermediaries. Once the procurement process has been completed, the payments will go directly to the supplier, the contractor, the consultant, the ultimate beneficiary. And it's on that basis that we are confident that Nigeria's financial position has been repaired and it is set to grow and become much more buoyant. Internationally, the Ministry of Finance has assisted in the Central Bank and Nigeria's quest to bring in more foreign currency. And it's a sign of the cooperation, collaboration, and the consultation between monetary and fiscal authorities. As Central Bank indicated a need of higher interest rates to fight inflation, it was the federal government that issued the securities at a higher rate, certificates and treasury bills, treasury bonds, that allowed foreigners to buy and bring in foreign currency that has been a major role, played a major role in helping to stabilize the currency. And that coordination is set to continue. It is codified in a formal meeting between the monetary and fiscal policy authorities. Then, of course, we have financed what will help to grow the economy. Major infrastructure projects, the equity, the government's own side of public-private partnerships has been found and put down by the Ministry of Finance. So, for example, the recently flagged off legacy project, the Lagos to Calabar Superhighway, the government paid its own equity that allowed that project to start. That is something that was done without borrowing. And likewise, infrastructure is the key to growing the economy, to building employment and creating multiplier effects throughout the economy. There is a fund that has been set up that will provide institutional long-term funds that will not only support housing construction, but also support low-interest mortgages to the average Nigerian, 25-year mortgages. That is the goal, that is the challenge that the financial sector has set itself to harness the long-term savings which are available in this market for long-term sources such as infrastructure, such as housing construction and financing. On that note, let me just also point out that the Ministry of Finance, the financial authorities at the federal level, have played a large role in also supporting the states. Of course, removal of fuel subsidy provided additional funding. But also, we have, with Nigeria's good standing internationally, we have been able to help the states attract cheap funding, and we've helped them to process projects at the community level funded by our development partners. And that is an important role in providing resources to the states. And of course, the international reputation of Nigeria financially has been restored. Moody's in December, and Fitch, world international credit rating agencies, increased and improved Nigeria's rating to positive, in a sign that the programs, the policies, the economic strategy of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was taking Nigeria in the right direction. Government did inherit an unstable economy. The 800 companies or so did not make up their minds overnight. So they stayed until they could stay no more. The conditions which sent them packing are no more. Those conditions were a foreign exchange market that was in no way fit for purpose. There was no liquidity. They were a general economic regime marked by instability, broken promises, lack of adherence to contracts, and so on and so forth. The new environment which investors face is one in which inflation is being attacked, and eventually that will lead to lower interest rates where investors can use the very, very vibrant domestic markets to add to their own equity and invest. And as was mentioned earlier, first by the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, the pivoting to CNG, it's government policy, not just for vehicles, but for generators. They have to be either CNG fueled or solar based or electric vehicles in the case of vehicles. So that is the new framework. That is the new incentive structure. And it continues in the oil and gas sector. There have just been a new set of incentives that are encouraging new investments, and we expect $7 billion worth of investments that have been sitting on the sidelines to now come in. And similarly, in other sectors, a stable, growing economy attracts investment that increases productivity, that grows the economy further, creates jobs, and reduces poverty. That is the trajectory that Nigeria is now on. In terms of new Naira notes, yes, one of the 8 priority areas of Mr. President is rule of law, sanctity of contracts, and therefore the law does give autonomy to the Central Bank of Nigeria. Although, and albeit, under one president with one economic plan, which is his own. And he obeys not just the letter, but the spirit of that law. So when we want to talk about the specifics of what central bank, which is in charge of currency, is doing, we really have to address that question to central bank. Needless to say, we look forward to an environment in which the issue of currency is no longer on the front burner, is no longer an issue day to day for Nigerians to worry about. The workers, the assets, the biggest asset that President Tinubu's administration inherited was a vibrant, educated, committed and determined workforce. They have delivered what has been done so far in terms of totally revamping the financial architecture of Nigeria, as well as done other laudable things in other sectors of the economy. The liabilities that we have inherited have pointed out how serially they are being paid. Every obligation, international and domestic, is being met, and it is being done because the revenue that belongs in government coffers on behalf of Nigerian workers is being diligently brought in. It is being monitored, it is being collected, it is being accounted for fully. The wage award, when I leave here, I am a member of the National Minimum Wage Award Committee, Tripartite Committee, and I am the chair of the subcommittee on implementation of the last minimum wage. And in assessing and analyzing and researching the implementation of the 2019 minimum wage award, we did time and again come across people in the private sector, in the subnationals, that why are you not paying this scale? And they would answer us that go and look at the law. It is not a scale. It is a minimum. It is not mandatory to pay anything other than that minimum. And so the discussions that hopefully we will very, very quickly bring to a satisfactory conclusion that is one of the items that is being borne in mind, that this is a minimum wage for private, for public sector. It is the law of the land, and we need to be guided in our discussions and even negotiations and expectations accordingly. Once again, I thank you.